All right, YouTube, happy Yule, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, joyous Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, Christmas Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Saturnalia, whatever the fuck else that you celebrate at this time of year. We've got a funny story here. It's actually from yesterday, but I didn't see it until now, so I'll post it here. Link in the description. Florida's Satanic temple display was vandalized by a self-described Catholic warrior. Somebody in the comments called her Old Mother Hubbard, which is exactly what she looks like. Susan Hemrick, 54, tried to remove the display Tuesday, and when the Capitol Police told her she couldn't, she began ripping it apart. She was arrested and charged with criminal mischief. This is pretty funny. The Christians always believe, religious Christians, not talking about the ones that don't really take their own religion too seriously. Religious Christians believe, generally speaking, that their God is able to intercede and cause things to happen. But here's this crazy old woman essentially attacking this satanic, horrible monument in Florida. I wouldn't be surprised. The Oklahoma monument that the Satanic Temple's trying to build probably will end up getting vandalized. And the thing is, the law is loosely applied. You see, if an atheist did this, they would be charged with a hate crime. Or if a pagan did this, or if an Islamist did this, it would probably be charged as well. If a Christian or a Jew does something like this, then it's not labeled a hate crime, even if it's clearly motivated by religion. Now, personally, I don't think anything should be charged as a hate crime. I think a crime is a crime, and it doesn't really matter what the motive was behind it so much as the act that followed. I guess I'm out of step with the legal establishment on that. I don't think that religion and race and so forth matter as much as if a person's lawful, they're lawful. If they're not lawful, then it doesn't really matter why they're unlawful. So I can understand that, but I think if we are going to use those terms, those perhaps not quite fully constitutional terms to define crime and weigh punishment, then it should be applied evenly. It shouldn't be just applied to people who happen to be they're irreligious, they're non-believers, or they happen to be members of certain religions which are out of the mainstream, basically Judeo-Christianity, as far as it goes. But I mean, and here's what she said. Oh, this is even funnier. It's just wrong when you remove baby Jesus 2 days before Christmas and put Satan in his place. This just can't happen. I couldn't allow it to happen, said Hemrick, who said she was wearing a shirt that said Catholic warrior when she arrived at the Capitol. I was there at the right time and the right moment, and I needed to take a stand against Satan. Well, if you want to take a stand against Satan, then off yourself, go to hell, and go fight him there, because you'll find that this little, essentially cardboard display that was put up there largely as a joke by a bunch of atheists, and the Christians, many Catholics included, apparently are too dumb really to understand that Satanism, as it stands in basically all of these groups, is atheistic. I've tried to tell people this before as an ex-Satanist. Satanism has nothing to do with witchy-poo occultism. If you want to find that stuff, there are occult groups that consider themselves Luciferian. They don't do things like this. They don't put up manger displays. I've never seen a story of any of them doing so. What you see instead is the Church of Satan holds a 6/6 2006 rally in Oklahoma. The Satanic Temple, which is another atheistic organization, is putting up, a Satan statue or whatever. That's what actually happens. You don't see these actual Satanists in the sense of worshiping Satan doing these things. You see the atheistic Satanists doing it, and it sounds like they essentially accomplished their goal, because that was maybe a $20 little thing that they put up. It was essentially cardboard, and it looked like popsicle sticks in cardboard, literally. At least if I'm thinking about the right manger scene that they put up. And funnily enough, she's talking about baby Jesus being removed. Baby Jesus was right there next to the satanic one. What these Christians need to understand: if you have the legal right to put up your religious festivities and displays in a state house, in a courthouse, in any other edifice which is publicly accessible, then any other group has the same right. Now, I don't personally have a problem with seeing manger scenes. I don't care where you put a Christian manger scene. I'm going to leave it alone. That's your beliefs. It has nothing to do with me. I don't care. I don't get offended at seeing Christian stuff. I think it's silly. I think it's very funny, and I would be lying if I said that I wasn't thinking about putting a little plastic T-Rex in there instead of baby Jesus every time I see one. But it doesn't insult me. It doesn't offend me. I'm not bothered by it any more than I'd be bothered by a menorah or a Christmas tree, which is sort of a Christianized pagan practice when you think about it. These things don't bother me, but it sounds like the Christians are very bothered when other religions do this, or when other philosophical groups do this, or when non-believers do this. They go completely apeshit. Whenever an atheistic group attempts to get some sort of display inserted into a public place, I can't honestly believe that there has to be any debate whatsoever about this. The law is cut and dry. If one group has that ability, then all groups have that ability. That is truth. The fact that there are people that actually don't understand that this is the case boggles the mind a little bit. These people are living in the United States, and they act as though only their religion gets to be publicly displayed. I don't understand exactly why they think this, and I would say the same. And this is a message I want some of the hardline atheists to understand. I think the same about you when you proclaim that no religious displays should be in the public square. They don't offend me. Let's get it straight. They don't offend you. And they wouldn't offend anybody if they weren't so thin-skinned. The same people that are trying to get all public displays of religion taken out are themselves dogmatic individuals. The hardline atheists, in opposition to the vast core of actual atheism, are themselves religious individuals. They claim to know that there's no God, and as such, they want doctrinal atheism. Well, that's just as much a breach of the separation of church and state as somebody proclaiming that we're a Christian nation. Yes, that's what I believe. Because essentially it's become an establishment of religion in some respects anyway. It's got its own dogma. It's even got its own books. When you really think about it, Christopher Hitchens' books or whatever. Yes, I am drinking. Don't judge me. And I'm doing it the cheap way. Because I don't give a fuck. But this woman, that's just crazy when you think about it. To attack, literally a cardboard cutout monument and start ripping it apart like it had some vast cosmic divine purpose and importance because your God commanded you to do so. Is she hearing voices in her head? I certainly hope not, although that would be a good way to describe what just happened and why she would do such a thing. The top comment here is actually worth noting as well. By Wall of Sleep. Catholic warriors, mum on RCC's international pedophilia ring, courageous in the face of cheesy dioramas. Very true. You see over and over and over and over again. These organized religious groups, they'll go after non-believers, they'll go after pagans or atheist Wiccans, whatever. Whenever they try to get noticed, and they'll say, heretics, horrible, sinner, everything wrong with the world. Then they won't look at their own church and see the problems that are endemic in it. And the Protestants do this too. It's not just a Catholic thing. You think that the Protestant pastors don't fucking do this shit? I've seen so many stories where some Protestant has basically done the same thing. They're diddling kids, they're raping women in their congregation, or young boys or men. They're using drugs, they're laundering money, they're embezzling, they're committing fraud. And these people in these religious groups see no wrong with that. They don't really talk about it. They don't really seem to understand that it's going on. When it does, even if it happens in their own church, they just find some other church that's basically the same and expect a different result. Well, that is lunacy, my friend. Life hack, replace the word terrorist with warrior for your religious cause. You can now do anything you want. This is also in a way true, because again, you've got essentially one major mainstream religion in this country, which is Christianity, minus some of its weirder offshoots. And to a lesser extent, Judaism, because the Christians are all Zionists for the most part. They strongly support Zionism. And outside of that, any other religion really doesn't get equal protection under the law when you think about it. Well, that's part of the Constitution. I think if you're going to have one religious display, then you should allow all comers to put up their religious displays. Let them put a pasta strainer there and call it for the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster or something. And the fact that this offends people, my goodness, you're so politically correct. These same Christians are the ones ranting about political correctness and how the left is going wild. And yet they're the ones trying to stamp out any displays that would compete with their wonderful little baby Jesus, a manger scene, by the way, based on paganism that never actually happened. It's pretty funny to me. And this is... apparently, this was a big to-do on Fox, and then probably defending the fucker for tearing this up. And then somebody naturally posted a picture of Nikola Tesla as Thor, which makes the story 10 times more interesting. You can look at that for yourself. But yeah, so again, happy holidays. I really shouldn't use that term, though, because I don't like political correctness, and I don't want to celebrate beetloaf, vegan, politically correct, smarmy, don't piss anybody off, holiday festive season cheer. I would rather celebrate an actual holiday. I think happy holidays is a slightly dishonest blanket term where you're indicating that you either don't know or don't care what religion that other person is. And you're just wishing them a merry... Why don't you just say happy solstice? That's not a religious event. That's just making an astronomical remark. Say happy solstice or something like that, or happy solstice greetings, happy solstice season or something, rather than worrying about somebody might get offended if I say Merry Christmas. You know, if you say Merry Christmas to me, my assumption is you're probably a Christian of some sort. I'll say Merry Christmas back because I don't give a fuck. And if somebody tells me Happy Hanukkah, I'm going to assume that they practice Judaism. I'll say Happy Hanukkah back. I'm not celebrating it, but it doesn't offend me. It doesn't piss me off. I might have a chuckle about how they believe in sky people, but I'm not going to, start ranting and frothing at the mouth and foaming rapidly anytime somebody talks about anything outside of my own religious beliefs, which are essentially non-existent. I don't understand why people get so pissed off like this woman. This woman's a Christian, but I mean non-believers have done the same thing. There was, I can't remember how long, I think it was about a month ago, that I think the Ten Commandments monument there, I think in the Oklahoma courthouse, actually got attacked by a dude. And he managed to break one of the monuments. And I said, well, that's stupid. It's a chunk of rock with human writing on it. It only has as much meaning as you give to it. Well, if you don't believe in Christianity, it has no meaning to you, so leave it alone. It shouldn't matter to these people. Why the hell do they care? I don't care if I go into a courthouse and there's the Ten Commandments on the wall. I'll put a spaghetti strainer there and I'll claim religious freedom or something. And then if they complain about it, I'll take them to court, win, and take all of their money. So, yeah. Use the legal system, but you don't need to whine and complain every time you see a manger scene. Baby Jesus obviously isn't represented properly. Usually they put a white baby in there instead of a heavily, deeply tanned baby that looks like it's Egyptian. But yeah, so it's a funny story. And it's definitely worth mentioning because, of course, it is Yuletide. At least in about 2 hours, it's Yule. Right now, it's Yule's Eve, or Saturnalia Eve, or Hanukkah Eve, or I don't even know enough about half of these things to actually say whether it's Eve or the day of. So that's about all. Peace out.